Welcome to Spirit Journey Collective. I'm your host, Sarah Ty. Get ready for compelling conversations with guests of all walks of life who believe they have found their purpose. Together, we will uncover unique backstories, hearing the raw experiences that led them to the work they are doing today. Let's expand our minds together with the captivating stories and inspiration that awaits. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Spirit Journey Collective. I have a really great guest today. Her name is Cheryl Meyer. She was a solopreneur who sold jewelry, who basically crashed, really found herself in an unhealthy space. And through that, she actually is now a certified health coach. This is a muse for her. She wants to inspire others to eat healthy so that way they can live long, healthy lives. So thank you so much for being here today, Cheryl.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking about this so I can inspire other people to adopt healthy habits.
I love that. And more people need to, because there's just so much processed food out there and it's harder to eat healthier nowadays, especially with the prices going up. And yeah, so I definitely can't wait to dive in and hear more about what you have to share. So why don't we just start with, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, your background, and what you offer?
Well, as you said, I was a solopreneur. I was designing jewelry for big box jewelers like Macy's and Kohl's and JCPenney and Amazon. I was manufacturing in Asia, and I lived in California. All my customers were on the East Coast. So I was very busy trying to make my business as successful as it could be. And I did everything except practice self-care and take care of me. So I have a joke that when the angels want me to get something, first they poke me in the arm, still flew through my brain with the speed of light. Then I got the NCIS slap, still didn't pay attention to it, realized I was starting to feel lousy, but didn't change. And then the 2x4 came down. And when the 2x4 came down, I woke up one morning and I could not move. Everything in my body hurt, all my muscles, all my joints. I had no idea what was wrong with me. I waited 5 days to see if I had some kind of a weird flu, but didn't seem to be that. So I started getting tests done. And after 5 rounds of tests, my conventional doctor came back and said, "Good news, nothing is wrong with you. It's in your head." And I said, "That is absolutely ludicrous. And I'm going to go find out what's wrong with my body." And so I didn't have a clue what I was looking for. And I dug in, and I was lucky. I had a very well-trained staff. So I turned the business over to them. And I dug in, and I was lucky. The angel's hand was still on my back. I fell into something called the functional community. Functional doctors have been trained conventionally, but what caught my attention was they all went for additional education because either they got sick and couldn't help themselves, or they had a loved one get sick that they couldn't help. And at the time, this was 12 years ago, they were running 19 symposiums with multiple doctors, and I listened to every single one. And I started taking notes. What was the difference between organic and conventional food and GMOs? It had been on the ballot in California, and I had no clue what it was. So that's where I started. Then I wrote down toxic load. What the heck was toxic load? Apparently, you could topple over into toxic load, and then it was very difficult to come back. That made sense. I was born in Pittsburgh, and my joke was I was allergic to Pittsburgh. My parents got me out of there when I was 4 because I had everything about Pittsburgh bothered me. Ends up I was allergic to Pittsburgh because of all the coal dust and the steel dust. So I was loaded with toxins. It was like Eureka when we did a heavy toxic metal test on my body. So I knew I needed to look into how to rid my life of toxins. And then the next thing was, what was leaky gut? It was a term they were all using, and I had no clue what it meant. And it ends up, your gut is the seat of your health. And so what you put into your gut makes a huge difference in terms of how your body operates. And there's a series of things that make your food not get digested properly. It could be stress, which interrupts every function of your body. It could be ultra-processed food and sugar, which interrupts everything and gives your body synthetic chemicals that your body can't operate on. It could be parasites. It could be the chemicals in the air and all the toxins. It could be sensitivities. Ended up, I had 18 food sensitivities. And simply by eliminating those was a giant step back to health. And the reason why it's so important is if you can't digest your food, The lining of your gut is only 1 cell thick. It's thinner than tissue paper. So this food in the wrong size particle is popping up against your lining of your gut, and it tears a hole in it. And then it goes into your blood, and your blood does exactly what it's supposed to do. It screams foreigner and it attacks. But then it does something really weird. Wherever you're weak in your body thinks that food particle is that tissue. So it will attack you there. In my case, it was my joint and my muscles. For somebody else, it might cause dementia or cognitive decline, might be your lower gut and cause you to have all kinds of disruption on one end or the other, which is not very much fun. Could be your skin. You could be getting acne or psoriasis or eczema. It attacks wherever you're weak in your body. So mine was my joints and my muscles. So you have to clean up your gut. And the first 2 places I started with that was by changing to organic food and cleaning up what I was feeding my body and eating all the colors of the rainbow, because I discovered there's something in each color of food called phytonutrients, which actually feed our body health. And the fun part of that is all the colors get together and have a little party in your body, which creates health. So if you're eating the rainbow and you're eating all the colors at some time during the week, they're having a good time going back to put your body back into balance. And I've decided health is balance. So you need to do everything you can to be in balance. And then the second place I started was stress. I had a lot of stress. I knew I had a lot of stress. I thought it was good for me and was helping me get more done. Instead, I had so little cortisol left in my body, which is your fight or flight hormone, that I was almost to a point of what's called Addison's disease. And it was obviously one of the main reasons that my digestion was so interrupted. I had agita, which is what my family called upset, all the time. Well, it was that agitated because I was so stressed out. And since I have learned to breathe, to release my stress at 10 and at 2 every day, you'll be shocked at how much more you can get done, because you're sending blood to your brain. You're getting all your cognitive ability back. You're being able to make decisions much better. I was waking up with confetti in my brain every morning and having to have 2 or 3 or 4 cups of coffee just to get jump started. All that went away when I started doing what I call the Dr. Andrew Weil 4-7-8 breathing exercise. He was the first integrative doctor. He went to Harvard to become a doctor with no intention of ever being a medical doctor. He wanted to integrate all the holistic modalities with traditional medicine, and he was the founder and the first person to do integrative medicine. And he set up the School of Integrative Medicine in Arizona. You can go onto YouTube and learn to do the 4-7-8 breath right with him. It takes 3 minutes to do 4 rounds of the exercise. And what it does is it resets your parasympathetic nervous system at the back of your brain, that releases all of the stress and resets you away from fight or flight, so that your brain comes back to balance and you operate on a normal basis. And by doing the breathing exercise, you actually feel the blood go back up to your brain. You suddenly feel awake and alert, and you're able to accomplish 10 times more. So first, by eating all the phytonutrients, plus you're getting all the essential nutrients, the vitamins and the minerals that you need, and they're not synthetic. They're real vitamins and minerals that your body needs to operate. And then by breathing to eliminate your stress. Those are 2 of my big pillars of health now that I encourage everybody to do. And it's not hard to do. People are spoiled because it's easy to buy something in a box and to just throw it together and eat it. But you're actually feeding disease if you're doing that. They now have concluded that chronic illness and inflammation is in direct correlation to eating ultra-processed food. So you have a choice. Do you want to feed health, or do you want to feed disease? Because that's the choice you're making with the food you give your body. And that's a pretty easy choice for me, because obviously you can see I have lots of energy now. I no longer hurt. That's all been reversed. And so I actually feel better than I did at my 50s, and I just turned 75. which I shared with you before we started. The third step was I went through and I started eliminating all the toxins in my life. And when I finished, I had returned to wellness and I wrote my first book, which has now been awarded 17 awards. And I go from a ground level. I mean, I was not a scientist. I was not somebody who knew any of this stuff. So I take people step by step, like you're having a conversation with me on the couch, through what I discovered when I started researching toxins. I was appalled that my government was letting me be poisoned, not only by all the toxins being sprayed on our conventional fruits and vegetables, because you're like eating poison with every bite when you're buying non-organic produce. But I was appalled at the first thing I looked up, and there's a giant database in the sky called EWG.org that lists all the chemicals in most of your products. The first thing I looked up was my face makeup, and it was a 9 on a 10-point scale. I literally was poisoning myself right through my skin. That caught my attention. So then I started looking up everything in my house. One of the things that happens is not only do all those products have horrific poison and toxins in them, but they're off-gassing. So the air in your house is way worse than the air is outside. And since I lived in Los Angeles at the time, I thought, wow, that's a huge statement. But it was true. I was spraying air perfumes to get rid of bad things in my air. And even the one that takes the toxins, the smells out of the air is toxic. So you want to eliminate all that stuff. The perfumes you put on your body, they're toxic. But Michelle Pfeiffer just came out with a non-toxic perfume so we can smell good again without poisoning ourselves. All of our cleaning supplies are loaded with toxins, and they're not only going through into the air when you're using them to clean your house, but they're going right through your skin and into your lungs. So you're getting poison from all avenues into your body. And by the time I was finished, I had eliminated literally dozens and dozens and dozens of products. Cosmetics industry monitors itself and they don't really care. So trust me, you want to know what you're putting on your skin. You want to know what the personal care products are that you're using. Everything. You need to inform yourself and find low toxin products. And there's a lot more of them today than there were 12 years ago when I got sick. But by eliminating all that stuff, and then I commented to you, I finally found my own functional doctor, and she tested me for sensitivities, and I had 18 of them. And some of them were really bizarre. One of them was chicken, because I had eaten so much chicken in the don't eat beef period where they didn't think beef was good for you. I developed a sensitivity directly to it, and it's like kryptonite to me now. I have to stay away from it. But dairy, cheese, my most favorite thing in the world was to eat cheese. Well, there's something, the milk proteins in cheese is casein, and I have a severe sensitivity to casein, so I can't go near that stuff. And I do eat beef now, but I only eat quality beef, which means I eat cows that eat what they're supposed to eat, which is grass. So I eat grass-fed, grass-finished beef, and I don't touch conventional beef because they're eating GMO corn, which leads us to what the heck is genetically modified. Genetically modified means one of two things. It means they've either grown Bt toxin right in your food so that when the bug bites the plant, it blows him up. And so he doesn't destroy the plant, but it also blows up all your good gut bacteria. So we're back to the gut is the seed of inflammation in your health. And so you don't want that Bt toxin in there. It's also responsible for all of the allergies that our kids have these days. Have you ever noticed how many more allergies our kids have? They can't go near peanuts. They can't go near this. They can't go near that. It's because of all the Bt toxin that they're eating in their food. And then the second thing a GMO is it means that the plant has been made Roundup ready. Roundup is glyphosate. And 2 years ago, they discovered in a lawsuit from a man who was spraying schoolyards with glyphosate that it caused a rare form of lymphoma. And Bayer, who bought Monsanto just as that lawsuit ended, has now paid out over $20 billion just to people who got that lymphoma because their own Research found in discovery proved that they'd known for 25 years that it caused cancer. Now, it probably causes other kinds of cancer too, but no one's ever sued for the other kinds of cancer. So Bayer's not paying out to any of those people, but you want to use your common sense and stay away from it. So stay away from GMOs like they're the plague, and then go to organic as much as possible. And I'll tell you how to do that so you could afford it in the beginning, because they're spraying our conventional food products with Roundup as well. And so you don't want poison with every bite of food. So how do you afford organic? Because, yep, it is a little bit more expensive. EWG, the same group that lets you research all your products at home, puts out something called the Dirty Dozen Clean 15. You may have seen it. It changes every year, and the new one for 2024 is about to come out. I just got notice. If it's on the dirty side, you never buy it unless it's organic. That's where you use your organic dollars. If it's on the clean side, it doesn't matter. I carry a card in my purse and I hand them out to people when I talk to them, so that, because I had a hard time remembering which was which in the beginning. But things like strawberries are super dirty, and people go, "Oh, strawberries? No." But it's because strawberries go close to the ground and they're sweet, so bugs like them as much as we do. So they get heavily doused with poison to keep the bugs off. And it's not just glyphosate. There's a whole series of things our crops are being sprayed with. Some of them even cause neuro difficulties in our children, so that their learning ability is dropping, or they cause endocrine disruptions in our children, so that little girls are starting their periods earlier and little boys are having their sperm counts reduced. So this stuff is important to educate yourself about. And if you all pick up one thing from me, it's own your own health and get proactive to learn all of this so that you can control what's in and around your body and control what food you're feeding your body, because you have a choice to eat all the colors of the rainbow or to eat all that icky, gray, dead food that is feeding your body nothing that it can operate on. And like you have the most sophisticated computer in your body that was ever made. So do you want to put garbage in? Because you're going to get garbage out. Or do you want to put in real, live, fabulous color and nutrients that your body can function on so that you can be the best that you can be? One other thing happens when you eat the rainbow. We have a problem with depression right now in this country, and I have never heard anybody talk about what I consider to be the number one issue, and that's what we're feeding our children. If you're eating the rainbow and you're getting all the phytonutrients and all the essential nutrients, you're also, what you eat is what your gut bacteria eat. So if they're eating stuff that makes them happy, then it stimulates the vagal nerve that goes right from your gut to your brain, and it turns on all your happy hormones. If you're eating stuff that's making your gut bacteria angry, which processed food does, then guess what goes up your vagal nerve? It goes up your vagal nerve and it turns off all your feel-good hormones, which are dopamine and GABA and serotonin. You need those things so you don't have anxiety, and so that I get out of bed now and I'm like amazed that I pop out of bed happy, because I feed myself so well. And so it has all kinds of benefits for the body. And one of the reasons we got COVID so bad in this country is because we eat so poorly. I finally did get COVID. I went through it in 4 days, and my fever never went over 99. And so, I'm immune compromised. I now have discovered what I had that morning when I woke up was fibromyalgia, which is a really nasty autoimmune disease. But things that inflammation causes are all the autoimmune disease, heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, and they cause cancer. Cancer starts with inflammation, and they cause Alzheimer's. We have a problem with our old people, which I am now, but I got a pretty active brain. If you're eating that icky food, you're inviting cognitive decline. And Alzheimer's is now called diabetes type 3. It's coming directly from the chemicals and the sugar in the ultra-processed food. So it's all connected. And since you are going to concentrate on getting your body into balance, then your body starts to really be good to you. And your body will complain when you're not giving it what it needs. Now, weight was a huge problem for me. I tried every diet known to man, and in the end, I always gained weight. And one of the first things I read is if you're eating ultra processed food, doesn't matter if you're full or not, you're starving your body. And I thought, how can I be starving my body? I'm not hungry. I'm eating plenty of food. Well, I was eating all the wrong food that wasn't giving my body any of the things that it needed. And so it wasn't going to allow me to lose weight because it was holding on to every morsel of goodness that it could get a hold of because it wasn't sure when it was going to get another one. So when you detox off all of that, I call it crap, carbonated, artificial, refined, and processed, then your body starts to get what it wants. It's happy, it celebrates, and when it gets relaxed that it's going to get another meal with all good things, it just starts to release the weight on its own. So you eat for your health, you never diet. Dieting does you no good. You keep giving yourself all the nutrition, all the phytonutrients, all the essential nutrients, and your body comes to balance and it just starts. And I have a class that teaches people how to break the addiction. And I can't tell you how incredible my success stories are. Because people who have struggled, especially with autoimmune diseases, they don't learn any of this because medical doctors that are conventional don't learn any of this in medical school. They get less than half a day on nutrition. So if you've ever had a doctor say to you, you know, it would be good if you lost a little weight, and you ask them, how do you do that? Their answer is probably going to be eat less because they don't know. They haven't learned that. That wasn't in their repertoire of what they got. And once they become doctors, their number one source of information is their drug representative. So you go to the doctor if he's a conventional doctor, and your appointment average time is 6 minutes. You walk out of there and you go, ooh, wait a minute, I didn't tell him this and this and this and this. What they do is they listen for the first symptom that you share with them, and then the pill comes down the chute, they give you the prescription, and you're on your way. But that does not bring you back to health. So you have, I'm not telling you not to do what your doctor tells you. I am not a doctor. But while you're doing that, even if it's taking a medication that's mitigating what's wrong in your body, start to adopt better eating habits, better breathing habits, move your body, get what I call your vitamin N, which is get into nature, because that's good for your mind, your body, and your soul. If you do all those things and you're getting enough sleep, I have 20 pillars of health all together. You're not going to adopt them all at one, but start somewhere and start to adopt them until you do adopt them all. Your body will start to feel so good, you won't be willing to give them up. And my functional doctor asked me, after I returned to wellness, to write my second book, which is, okay, I'm swimming upstream against everybody else now, living healthy. So how do I do it? So my second book is called Feeling Good, Living Low Toxin. It's how I vet a restaurant. It's why I go to farmers markets. It's how to raise children. You start before you have children, before conception, for a year to eat healthy so that your child is not born with 297 toxins in its umbilical cord at point of birth, which is causing our children all kinds of difficulty. 54% of our kids already have chronic illness.
That's wild.
It's incredible. And yet, no, I'm out there trying to talk about this because people don't want to give up the convenience and how cheap ultra-processed food is. But if you don't pay it up front, you're going to pay it at the other end. And you don't want to pay it at the other end because you're going to feel lousy and you're not going to be able to function. So adopt it now while you still have it to adopt, and do it step by step. Now, I don't only eat what's on the dirty list organic anymore. I found a second website that everyone should know about called whatsonmyfood.org. And all the vegetables are there, and you look it up and it will tell you like that a potato has 55 toxins on it. And some of them are neurotoxins, which will interfere with your brain. It goes through and tells you what's on everything and what kind of toxin it is that's interrupting your body.
It's time to take a short break from our wonderful speaker. Are you in the need of guidance around love, career, family, life, or purpose? Embark on a spiritual journey inward with an intuitive tarot reading. Depending on what you're needing and looking for, I offer private one-on-one sessions as well as personalized email readings. It doesn't matter what the question is. A reading with me provides connection with your higher self, offering curated personal messages, or what I like to refer to as spiritual roadmaps, guiding you to the future outcome you desire. Readings are insightful and affordable. If you'd like more information or to schedule a reading with me, please see the link below.
And if you want to feel good, you really don't want to be eating those toxins, nor do you want to be using them in your cleaning supplies and your fragrances and all of that stuff. So your body, I have a conversation every morning when I get up in the morning. And first thing I do is say, good morning, Cheryl. Have I told you how much I love you? Because practicing healthy habits starts with self-love. And I say it out loud because in the beginning I had to hear it because I didn't believe it. But now it just comes naturally. I tell myself I love me. The second thing I ask myself is, how do you feel today? Because if my body has any complaints and it speaks a language in symptoms, I'm like a little computer going, what did I do yesterday that my body is complaining? Because I'm going to fix it right away because I'm not giving up feeling great. It's too wonderful to be this happy and to be leading the life that I'm living at 75, to not take care of it right away and return to my ultimate health and happiness. And I can tell, if I have any kind of brain confetti or my skin doesn't look right, I used to get puffy. I have a list. I have a free magazine for everybody, by the way. If you go to my website, which is CherylMHealthMuse.com, on the first page, you can click a button. It will take you to a second page, which will take you to my free flip book magazine. And I have all the signs you're not as healthy as you think you are. Because my belief is we're all running through this life feeling lousy. But like me, we're not stopping long enough to realize just how lousy we feel. So I listed all the things I missed that I don't want you to miss, that I want you to, when you feel them, you stop and go, wait a minute, that's a sign of inflammation, because inflammation is the first step towards chronic illness.
I mean, everything you're sharing, oh my gosh, I hope everyone listening is taking notes, because this is just like so much really helpful information. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Livinggood.
There's a lot of people out there who are now on the same bandwagon. Yeah. I follow the functional community, and he may or may not be, but I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good platform, and he teaches a lot of what you're sharing. And I did follow the protocols that he had. Pick and choose the price range, right? But you don't want to, like strawberries, you always want to go organic, things like that. And yeah, he's a functional doctor. He was a doctor who, same thing, his dad got really sick. I mean, I will say I felt better. Like my body felt better when I was eating that way. Unfortunately, I did slide back into the overly processed foods, and it's partially, I'm a single parent, I'm struggling, prices are crazy. But I'm going to be honest, I'm getting to the point now where I can feel it in my body again. And I'm like, I don't feel good.
And it's better. What you do is what your child will do. They're little mimics. And so it's really important that you teach them how to eat well, so they become little super rangers, and they can be with other kids who are not eating as healthy as you're going to teach them to eat, because they know how good they feel. And it's also important to take them grocery shopping with you. One of the ways to get food for less is to go to farmers markets and take your child with you and let them pick out some of the fruits and vegetables that they like to eat, and involve them in the kitchen and have them help you make the food and make their lunches, and understand why it's so important to you that they eat this well, and how well they feel when they do eat this well. But if you go to farmers markets, sometimes at the end of the farmers market, they don't want to take the food home. They picked it the night before. If it's still there, they might sell it off for a partial price. I used to get from one booth, I used to buy the stuff that they were ready to get rid of all the time. And it helped. And I'm about to start a membership group on Facebook called Food Quality Matters. Everything you ever wanted to know about food but didn't know who to ask. How to pick the right tomato, how to pick the right apple, how to make it last as long as possible. Where do you store it? Do you store it on the counter? Do you store it next to onions, which will make it, they off gas, so impact each other and rot each other? Or do you put it on the middle shelf of the refrigerator or on the door or in the produce keeper? All those things that you don't know, including all the ways you can save money on food. And there are ways that you can save money on food. And it isn't necessarily more expensive to buy real food and to cook, but it is going to take you a little bit more time to make meals. But believe it or not, I can make a meal as fast as it would take me to jump into the car and go out for fast food now, because I have a rhythm and I have quality food available to cook from. So I have a freezer filled with quality meat. So I take something out in the morning and then I already have vegetables in my refrigerator. So then I decide what vegetable I'm going to make that night. And you become a short order cook. You can make it really quickly. But in the beginning, it's a little bit painful because you're not used to cooking things from scratch. But the ultra processed food is all fake. And they've made it so that it sounds like real food, smells like real food, tastes like real food, even though there's nothing real about it. They have made it turn off your taste buds, because if you could really taste what was in that food before they put the flavorings in, it's really icky. So they don't want your taste buds to work well, so that they've turned it off. When you start cooking real food, it takes about 3-4 weeks and you get your taste buds back. I've had clients call me and go, "Oh my God, I just ate a cucumber from the farmer's market. It was a cucumber. I couldn't believe how delicious it was." They're like surprised. And I have people who will call me from the grocery store and say, "Can I buy this?" And I said, "Well, take a copy of the label and send it to me." And my rule is, if there's a word on the box that you can't pronounce or don't know what it is, you put it back. Because if you don't know what it is, your body doesn't know what it is either.
That's what Dr. Living Good teaches too. So when I was following it, I would read the ingredients, and I was always looking for, if it's whole food, real food, like I know it's on the box, exactly what you're saying. And I couldn't believe how, when I cleaned out my fridge to put in the healthier stuff, I couldn't believe when I was like reading my mayonnaise, I'm like, what the heck is most of this stuff? Like, I don't even know how to pronounce any of it.
Mayonnaise is almost always made with soy. Soy is 95% genetically modified, which means it has either the Bt toxin or the glyphosate in it. So there is an avocado mayonnaise available that you could buy, or I buy one that is soy-free by Follow Your Heart. You can also make your own mayonnaise, but that's even more than I'm willing to do, because I'm into speed as well. But you start to, and soy lectin is in all chocolate. You don't want that stuff. It doesn't mean that you have to avoid all soy. If it's organic soy, it actually has all kinds of health benefits for you. But if it's not organic soy, I avoid it again, like it's kryptonite, because it's not good for your body.
Yeah.
And so, knowing what's in your food is super important. And knowing what those ingredients are is super important.
100%. Yeah. And again, I hope that everyone listening is taking notes and getting inspired I know I am. I was already kind of on the brink of like, okay, I'm at least getting ready for a new diet, right?
And as to your comment about you started to do it and then you fell off, if somebody takes my Ditch the Standard American Diet class, my deal is you pay for the class once. It's 5 modules, 4 weeks. The first module is how to prepare to do the detox. And then if you ever want to take the class again as a refresher, or you've fallen off the horse, you get to take it for free. And what the advantage of that is, the people who've taken it before have all kinds of insights for the new people, and the new people are looking at it from new eyes. So they remind the older people who've taken it before why they took it in the first place. And they get to watch the new people start to, over the period of the 4 weeks, almost everybody feels a difference in their body. Now, it took them maybe 20, 30, 40 years to get to where their body's at. So they're not completely healed in 4 weeks, but it's enough that they feel the difference. And that's what I'm working for. And then if you need to take the class again, you come back and you join me again. And I'm the same person in the class that I am here. I'm full of enthusiasm because I want everybody to feel as good as I do.
I love that. So in this work that you're doing, especially, you kind of found it later in life, right? This is what you're meant to do.
I sold my business because I was having conversations with women everywhere. I was having conversations at the grocery store. If they were looking at labels of bread, I go, this is what you have to look for. You don't want that. You don't want all those fortified vitamins because your body doesn't know what to do with them. And then I was having conversations at the dental office with all the people in there. And I decided that I had all this information in my head, and what could it do me if I didn't get it out to the public? Which is why at 67, I returned to school so that I could get certified as a health coach. I had my BA in English from Berkeley. That helped me write my first book and helped it win a whole lot of awards, which helps me get people interested to read it, which is a blessing. And then I put up my shingle that I was going to be a health muse because I want to inspire you to do what I did before you fall into the pit of ill health, because you can climb back out of the pit, but it's so much better if you start before you fall into it. So that's what I've been doing now for 11 years. I was even in a relationship with a guy for 10 years who refused to change. So he had to go. It was very painful. I loved him very much. But if he didn't love me enough to change how he ate, he couldn't be in my life. So I went on the old fogey dating site and I looked for somebody who wanted to go on a get well journey with me. And I listed all the other things that were important. He had to have high ethics. He had to be bright enough to keep me on, hit my toes, yada, yada. The man who answered in 3 days and lived 10 minutes away from me. It was a national dating site. He had just lost his wife of 43 years to cancer. And what he said to me was, I need to go on a get well journey because I have gained a ton of weight and I am not healthy. But if you give me a chance, I'm probably the nicest man you ever met. And he literally went through my list and said, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. He was a statistician. He said, I'll definitely keep you on your toes. And I'm a technical wizard. And because I was designing jewelry, I'm right brain. He was left brain. So we started cooking together, farmer marketing together, doing all the healthy habits together. And our anniversary is next week, and I'm married to him now for 9 years. He is the best partner. He's the other side of my coin. He knows what I don't, but he is a happy guy, and he just wants me to be happy. That's his whole focus. So I hit the jackpot. Not only did I get rid of all of those icky habits that were making me miserable, but I met a man who is loaded with love and happiness, who wants me to be happy. And we have built this incredible life together. We just bought our dream home. We sold our house in California and bought a house on top of a mountain, 15 miles south of Sedona, looking at a forestry property that has its own glass pool and sauna and a hot tub, has a little mini putting green down below and its own vineyard. The guy who lived here tried to make his own wine, but the birds got to the grapes before he did. It's spectacular, this house. And my whole life is a life that is my dream life that I never thought I would have.
I mean, it just goes to show that when you step into alignment, when you find your purpose,
Yep.
when you're doing what lights you up and what brings you joy and what you're supposed to be doing, everything else falls into place.
My favorite quote I used to think was by Goethe, and it was by someone named William Hutchinson, who said that once you're in and you're all in, the universe moves to make it so. And that was essentially what happened with me. My why was so big, I never questioned that I was going to do whatever I needed to do to return to health, because I was not going to go to a life of pain and pills. That is not me. And so I was going to figure it out. And so doing all the research and keeping it all organized was worth it to me, because my why was huge. So start with asking yourself, what's your why? Are you feeling lousy and you don't want to feel lousy anymore? Or do you have one of the chronic illnesses? Because that's a choice. What you do either creates health or creates disease. And there's a whole new field called epigenetics, which has put science on its ear, because we all believe that we inherit all of our diseases from our ancestors. And epigenetics is on top of genetics, like epidermis, epigenetics. And what it says is, yep, you do inherit stuff, but that's your blueprint. And you have a choice. Do you turn that blueprint on, or do you leave that blueprint off? Because your lifestyle habits make all the difference in the world as to whether or not you realize that blueprint. And so people go, yeah, but everybody in my family has breast cancer. That's because lifestyle habits also run in families. And so if you have aunts and mothers and grandmothers that all had breast cancer, you're probably all eating the same lousy way and doing the same lousy lifestyle habits. So you're all getting the same disease because it's in your blueprint. It doesn't have to be that way. It's a choice, and you have way more power over your body and your life, frankly, than anyone has ever allowed you to believe. You can create the life that you want. And there's all kinds of ways to manifest it by going into your heart brain, which has as many neurons as your brain does. And that's the place where self-love and love and gratitude and kindness and compassion lives, which are all the higher vibrations and your vibration. So if you're feeding all the high vibrations, you're feeding health. And so there's lots of ways, and that's the point where you manifest, because you're in all the high vibrations. So it goes out to the universe for the universe to bring it back into you.
So true. And even with epigenetics, I mean, that's the whole thing that they're showing, is that you can change your genetics.
You can actually change the tips of your genetics, which are called telomeres. As we grow older, if we're living the lousy lifestyle where most of us are living, the telomeres get shorter. And when the telomeres get short enough is when we age. It's when we get old. I'm 75. I don't plan to age. I plan just to grow old. It's okay that I'm growing old. I don't want to live forever, but I want to be healthy all the way to the end, because I want to be as vibrant as I am today. And so I'm not letting those telomeres get destroyed, because I'm feeding it all the right stuff and doing all the right lifestyle habits, so that I literally am reprogramming my DNA and my genetics to allow me to be healthy. And they would have told you 10, 20 years ago, that was impossible. What the heck was I drinking or smoking or something? But, we have the power. And I just went to Bruce Lipton is the father of epigenetics. I just went to a huge convention with him. And they teach you how to change your own life in all aspects. One of the women who spoke at it had died for 4 hours and made the choice to come back. When she died, she had stage 4 cancer. When she came back, it was gone. And her whole thing is, why are we waiting to pass to the other side? Because yes, we're all going to do that. Why aren't we creating heaven on earth? And that starts with how we love ourselves and our body, and then exude that out to everybody else.
Absolutely. And I really also love how open-minded you are. I've noticed, my line of work, I am a spiritual advisor / tarot reader, a little bit different, but I work more in the mindset field and helping people find their path, things like that. And I've worked with different ages, and I've noticed that around 75 and up, it's either someone who's completely shut down and they already feel like they know what they know, and that's that. And there is no. And so when I do try to share the wisdom that's coming through, it just doesn't land. They don't understand. It's too abstract for them. And then I've had people who've come to me, at 70, 75, who've literally said, I realized I probably only have another 15, 20 years left, and I want to make sure I'm doing what I'm here to do. And they're like here asking for my guidance and what do I need to know to get myself in the right line and all of this stuff. And so I just think it's so important that there's this old paradigm of as you age, you also get stuck in this old ideas, and that's that. And I just love how you have the youth mindset of, no, I'm still learning, I'm still growing.
But you have to be ready to hear what I have to say. I started my career in retail. I ran a store of 300 people, and I learned that if you push somebody, they're going to push back. Because sometimes people will send me a client and I'll get on the phone with them. First visit's always free. And they'll tell me they already know everything. And so I know that they're not going to hear me, and that's okay. So I tell them the call is free when you're ready, or if you haven't figured it out and you still feel lousy, then you call me back. And then I share again things that can hold yourself accountable to you so that you can start to heal. If I push when they say I already know anything, they're not going to hear me anyway.
Exactly. You have to be ready and open to receive. And Not everyone's there. It doesn't matter what age they are.
But it doesn't mean that they won't get there. I just
Mhm.
recently had someone come back to me. We spent some time on the phone, and I'm now invited to be in a summit to talk about how she's talking about finance, because she wanted to make sure that I was one of the people speaking to women in this multi-complex summit where we're going to try to help women change their lives. So she finally heard me. She just wasn't ready the first time we got on the phone.
Yeah, no, that's true too. You have to be right and open, and sometimes it takes people a long time to get there, sometimes not so long, and sometimes never. It just depends
Yeah,
on,
and that's possible.
but it is absolutely possible. So we're kind of coming down to like the hour, but there's just so much information which I love, and I'm sure my listeners are just going to eat all this up. But from here, I like to go into what I like to call synchronicity story time. And so I love synchronicity stories. I think that they're a great way to show you that you're on your path. You're getting the breadcrumbs, letting you know that the universe is like, yes, this is right, you know? And so I don't know if you have a story in your business around synchronicity that you can't explain that was just really cool, or just a paranormal synchronicity story in general that's not related either way.
I
Do you
have a funny story that I'll share that's kind of a synchronicity, because I believe in synchronicity and it happens all the time. The very first time I spoke to a group, I spoke to my financial advisor's best clients. So they were an older group. So what I was saying to them was a little off what their normal routine was. And before I even started, an older man, now I was maybe 70 at the time, so he was probably 85. He came up to me and he said, I don't care what you're going to share. I'm not going to do it. And I turned around and said, you know something? I don't care. My job is to share information with you. Your job is whether or not you want to do it. So if you don't want to do anything that I say, more power to you. So I gave my speech. And when I finished, he was very shy, and his wife pushed him to come and apologize to me. And he said, I have to tell you, I heard you, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to try some of this stuff. Well, 4 weeks later, my husband went to another meeting with the same group, and he came up to him and said, we have changed how we're eating, and I can feel it in my body. And I was supposed to hear what your wife had to say that day, even though I was a snot in the way I walked up to her in the first place. So I'm really glad she shocked me by turning and saying, I don't care, it's up to you, because that caught my attention and I listened.
Yep. And that happens all the time. Like, especially when you look back in hindsight, when you realize certain decisions would never have been made if certain things didn't happen first, or you didn't meet certain people. So, and your response was perfect, because it's exactly what you said. It's like, hey, take what you want, leave what you don't want.
And in terms of synchronicity, my new favorite thing are glimmers. Have you ever heard of glimmers? Glimmers are things that happen all day long, but we don't stop to sit with them or even recognize them. They go through like the speed of light. It could be the way the sunlight comes through a cloud, or the way my kitty wraps himself around my neck in the morning. And when you have a glimmer, the key is to sit with it and feel the glow. And by sitting with it and feeling the glow, that too turns on all your happy hormones. My husband and I have gotten so into glimmers. Our offices are at opposite ends of the hallway here. We're running back and forth all the time going, look outside the window, there's an incredible rainbow. And then we'll sit and we'll enjoy it together. They're everywhere. It could be the way the flower in the beginning of spring has just popped out of the ground. It could be big white fluffy clouds that are just gorgeous against a blue sky, but they happen all the time and we don't even sit to recognize them. So open up your eyes, look and find, search for the glimmers. The more you see glimmers, the more they come to you, and they're so good for your health and for your mind and for your body that they will improve the quality of your life hour by hour. They happen, and you're supposed to see them and you're supposed to enjoy them, and they're there for a reason.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that. Like, and it's true. We focus so much more on the negative stuff.
So all the low vibration stuff. God, do I see a lot of anger out there. I think it's how people are eating. If they would improve their eating, they wouldn't be so angry and their lives would improve dramatically.
I know. I think that you're onto something for sure with that. So if listeners want to take a class or connect with you,
first, follow me on Facebook. I'm Cheryl Meyer 3. And I post about all aspects of health every day. And some of it, right now I'm posting a lot about women supporting women. But that's also, community is huge for health, because if you form a community that supports you, it's much easier to stay with healthy habits. So I talk about all aspects of health. My website, which is CherylMHealthMuse.com, which is the word on my screen. If you go to the first page and click through to the magazine, it's a whole journey of all different roads to health. My functional doctor wrote an article. My naturopath wrote an article. The head of Chemo Buddies for Cancer wrote an article on the importance of community. A woman who had 2 botched back surgeries came here to Sedona to the Tao Center that's here and learned the whole mind-body way back to health because nothing was helping her. And then there's 3 articles on eliminating toxins, which will help you get on that road because they're interrupting every aspect of your life. And then right below them, there are 2 other free flip books. One is It's Not Complicated How to Eat, How We Got Into This Mess, What's Wrong with the Ultra-Processed Diet, and then What You Do Need to Eat. And my newest thing about that is we need fiber, and it's all removed from ultra-processed food. But fiber is not only what the liver takes the toxins, they jump on piggyback and go out of your body on, but fiber is also what your vagal nerve uses to take the phytonutrients up to your brain to turn on your happy hormones. So it's all explained, and it's not complicated, in simple language so that it's easy to understand. And then I put my desktop guide to stress up there because it's not hard to control your stress. You just have to make the time to do it. And it doesn't even take very much time, but it's worth it. So those are great ways. Now, my classes will be in my store on my website. I also talk about them on my Facebook page, and I'm very active on Facebook. So you'll get a lot of information there.
Perfect. And I'll be sure to put all that in the show notes. They can find you a little bit quicker. And this has just been such a great conversation. So much information that I really hope that our listeners do something with. I'm going to do something with it myself. So thank you.
It only does you good if you act on it. So implement. Start somewhere. You can't implement it all. Start somewhere.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here today and being a guest today.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it really has.
Thank you for joining me on another inspiring episode. Remember, your purpose is a unique and unfolding path. I hope these conversations have ignited a spark within you. Until next time, keep exploring, growing, and embracing the beautiful adventure of connecting with your purpose. Stay tuned for more meaningful conversations. If you're wanting more, consider joining our free Facebook community called Spirit Journey Collective, your haven for spiritual exploration and personal growth. Dive into a supportive community where sharing spiritual experiences is encouraged. Unlock the power of intuition, embark on a journey of self-discovery, and connect with like-minded souls. If this sounds like a community you'd love to plug into, the link is in the show notes below. If you enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for joining me on this journey.